So originally I had planned to talk about personal change today, along the lines of what it's like when we have an awakening or a midlife unraveling, rebuilding, and it doesn't always happen in our middle life. But that place where we start to question absolutely everything we know, including who we are, um, where we're going, what our purpose is. But instead, I decided to talk about something that I would like to try and do. And I had to actually, I had to create bullet points over here on my screen so that I can stay on topic and keep this relatively short-ish, so I don't over talk. But recently I have, had a realization, and with the help of friends, of course, I realized that if I want community, something I have always longed for is community, a place where I feel like I belong, a place where I feel like I matter and I can make a difference. And that's really all I've ever wanted. And if I want that, it comes honestly. It started for me. I have community. It's small, literally just like my friends, like a handful of friends. Some are local, some live far away. But the realization was, if I want this, I have to create it for myself with other people who also want the same thing. And it doesn't mean that it will be that way forever. Some people will come in and out of community, and that's okay. So I had this idea of the living journey for years. It started back in 2019, and I'm still finding myself in this similar place of, what am I supposed to do with my life? What is my purpose? Where am I going? And it's almost like, an awakening. But I've been awakened, and I'm referring to this in a spiritual context, of course, or coming to consciousness. And I thought that the living journey wasn't going to happen the way that I had imagined, and I don't even know what it was that I imagined, and I think that's part of it. So I really thought the living journey was dead. But when I lost my job, this was the first thing I thought of. And I have kind of been tiptoeing around it because I wasn't sure what direction to take it. And I was going to try to have, weekly readings and stuff. And it just, I couldn't get traction of my motivation to do it. So I kind of just said, well, the universe will tell me how it wants to come about, because the opportunities that started the process of me feeling like the living journey could actually come to fruition and exist and stay existing. I lost my train of thought, and I had to pause the video so that I could remember what I was trying to say. I had to play it back a little bit, and then I'm starting. So yes, I am showing up exactly how I am right now. I'm not waiting till everything is perfectly polished. But what I was saying is, the opportunities that started me back on this path of the living journey and trying to do something different started with things that were just falling into my lap, like mere accident. And I followed those breadcrumbs and started walking the path. And whenever I have something like Coffee and Crystals with Midtown Mage, shout out to Kelly, or working with Aries Rising and doing readings and having the pop-ups at her studio in Carlisle, that's Mary, shout out to Mary. Those things really kind of fell into my lap, and I took them as, okay, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And I would get so invigorated and rejuvenated by providing these readings for people. And there was such intense connections, and it feels so good. And then I come home with all of this extra energy, and I want to create a community. I want to create a business where I can work for me. I don't have to fit into the box, which I'll get to in a little bit. And so, but the motivation and figuring out what exactly I want to do and how to put myself out there, I couldn't figure it out. So I'm just gonna, whatever, I'm just gonna start doing something and then it'll figure itself out from there. But I realized that it's up to me to decide what this purpose is and how I can show up with my purpose, or utilizing, or do whatever I have been born with, what's inside me, my observations over the years, how I walked through my own real first process of coming to consciousness or spiritual awakening, or whatever you want to call it, midlife crisis. Um, that part, sometimes, a lot of times, we have to kind of do that alone, and I really did. So it's up to me to decide, how I want to live my purpose. And so I am showing up right now as my authentic, very messy, vulnerable self. I am sharing this part of me with you. And it's not to be necessarily about me, but it is to start a conversation, or what I hope to start a conversation, to put myself out there, which is really scary. Part of the reason is because I know I'm not alone in this. I know other people are, or have been in similar places, long for community, long to start to take off the parts of themselves that were put there by others, that don't belong to them anymore, that don't feel like who they are. And, I've been through that process. The first time it feels really rough, I think. But it's a continual process. It doesn't stop. I think it just gets a little easier sometimes. I mean, there are all kinds of big triggering events that force us to look at who we are and where we're going. And if we want to change direction, it gives us an opportunity to do that. So, I'm tired of trying to fit myself into a box that society, feels like I need to be in. I am challenging my ideas of success, and that I have to go to an office and work and, do things the way that people do things that don't work for me. It actually is harmful for me. And that doesn't mean that I am a failure because I'm unconventional. I have never been conventional. So why would I start trying to do that now? And somewhere along the way, that fight of fighting, like swimming against the current, it got me tired. And I just started to attempt and conform, have a regular job, get paid steady, because it feels like it would be easier. That way I can just show up. But every time I try, it just doesn't work out for me, and it ends up like harming my self-esteem and my sense of self-worth and value. I am not someone who fits into a box, and most of us aren't, but the way things are done and the way we are socialized is that things are done in a certain way, and you have to do it this way if you want to succeed. And anything outside of that path is unreliable and scary, and maybe it is, but here I am anyway. So I can either sit here and complain about it, or I can do something different and actually try to step into those shoes that I'd forgotten I even had. And so I'm facing my fear. I am scared to do this, but I'm going to do it anyway. And I would like to invite you to walk with me through the process, unraveling who we aren't anymore, what doesn't serve us, what just doesn't feel good, or the boxes that people try to put us in that, we really tried to fit into, and we just realized slowly over time that this just isn't going to work. It's not sustainable. I can't be anyone other than who I am. And who I am is somebody who wants to be in community, even though I do really love my solitude. A lot of that, confession time, has been to protect myself because I am different. I mean, if you want to get down to brass tacks, I'm neurodivergent. So I definitely have ADHD, and I really thought that was something very simple as a diagnosis, but I realized that it is so much more all encompassing, and it's part of who I am, and that's okay. It just, for the longest time, for decades, I thought I was a failure because my brain just works differently. And I internalized all of that, like a lot of people do, but especially women. And I don't want to do that anymore. So, the living journey is here for spiritual guidance and all of that, but it's really for community so that we can walk together for as long as we choose to. And that's why I want to invite you to come and walk with me for a while and be in community. Discover together, and when we have to do things by ourselves, we know. But discovering who we are becoming. And that is a beautiful process to watch other people go through, to really see them start to walk on their path and become their authentic selves, who we are meant to be and how we want to show up. So, I would like to invite you to do that with me. And part of that is I would like to start a weekly series, which is kind of like this simple video blog. I do not have a fancy setup. I forgot to look for my microphone. I don't know how well it works anyway, but I have some lavalier microphones, but I forgot to look for them because I was kind of dragging my feet on creating this video because the original topic, I was just going to dive into it and just start and just say, hey, this is what I'm doing now. Instead, I had the idea to share with you why I'm doing this and just basically talking about the concept of it anyway. And it's something you saw 2 weeks ago. I created a video and it was kind of rushed and weird and I was sweaty the whole time. It was just awkward, but that's part of who I am too. And I just have to show up. I just need to show up instead of analyzing every single detail to make sure everything looks perfect and polished, because I know the people that I trust and believe in spiritual context, community, what have you, are not perfectly polished and put together. They don't have slick everything advertising and they're not some fancy pants. They're just people who show up and share that vulnerability. So I'm hoping that I can provide that by sharing parts of myself, my authenticity and my vulnerability. So I want to start Messy Mondays to be a hopefully weekly video video podcast. Good Lord, I have just, listen, I don't know, man, these hormones, I feel like I think I'm perimenopausal, but anyway, I also feel like I am losing my mind, which is a topic I would like to cover. So my intention for Messy Mondays, this is intentional, and I'm really putting myself into this, but I want you to come with me. And so what that means is I would like for us to discuss and for you all to share with me things that you want to talk about that matter to you and that we can discuss from a spiritual standpoint or using a spiritual framework. I am a woo-woo spiritual lady, but there's a whole lot of other things. Like, there is no one thing that I follow. It is just what feels right for me, and everybody has their own practice that I am friends with anyway. We don't have any label that we could really give ourselves other than woo-woo, and I think anyone who's watching this knows what that means, and if you don't, hey man, I'd be happy to tell you. But basically metaphysical, spiritual stuff. So I want to have people come on the podcast or whatever you want to call it with me. I would like to have you guys sit with me and just everyday people talk about your perspectives and your experiences regarding the topics that we choose. So if somebody wants to talk about being a middle-aged mom, I can have somebody on who's a middle-aged mom, who's someone that I respect and trust, and to share parts of themselves so that we can walk on this journey together. That's the whole point. Create the community. If you don't feel like you have one, then create the community and they will come, kind of like the Field of Dreams, I guess. But I am not saying it's going to be, I don't know. So I just, I want to share, and I want to have my experiences in the world um, hopefully help somebody who, might not know what they're thinking or feeling right now, and just somewhere people can express themselves and what they've been through, and to know that they're not alone, and to do this thing called life together for however long it's meant for us to do that. Um, so every Monday, if, I guess I should just say, and this is my information, what if this becomes a Monday, oh God, Lord, a weekly Monday thing. So Messy Mondays. This is a concept. I did not create this. The idea I learned from Glennon Doyle, her podcast, which is called We Can Do Hard Things. She wrote a book called Untamed, and it was just about really her discovering herself and going through a huge, massive shift in her life. And one of the things that she talked about, which resonated so deeply with me, especially because I am someone who feels so alone a lot of the times, I guess, whatever. She said the messy middle. Instead of people who have healed their trauma and they're so positive and loving all the time. I'm compassionate, deeply empathetic, and I feel so much all the time. But I am never, and this is not a bad thing, by the way, this is one of the things I feel like we're taught, I am never going to be done growing. Life is not about being happy, at least in my opinion. It's about learning and growing and just existing. Sometimes it's not about healing. It's not about anything. Just having fun is also productive. It's something that's important to our health on all levels. So she said that showing up in our messy middle is really important so that other people know that what it looks like to actually do the work, to actually actively heal through trauma or from trauma. And we have all experienced trauma. I don't care who you are. I don't care what you think your childhood was like. Every single person has experienced something that has been life-altering in some way. And we all go through some sort of shift in our life, and sometimes many. I have been through many shifts, many different versions of myself. And I've also gotten to the point where I won't feel guilty about people I used to be, or sad for the people that I used to be. I will reach out to them with love and say, thank you for getting me here. So, with that said, I want to show up in my messy middle. I am sometimes okay, and sometimes I'm not. And I want to know that and I think a lot of other people do too, want to know that it's safe to show up and say, okay, I am not super great today, and this is what's going on. What do you feel about this? So if you want to share parts of yourself with community, if you want to be vulnerable, if you want to talk about the things that have shifted for you so that other people don't feel alone, and that you're not alone, because other people will probably relate, then let me know, because I really want to share this with everyone. This is not just about me. Yes, of course, I would love to have some spiritual coaching clients, whatever you want to call it. I am a certified life coach, and I would love to make a living helping others. And I have tried for 46 years to figure this out, and I'm tired. I'm tired of trying to do it everybody else's way, and I just want to be able to support myself and my family and my kid in a way that's really part of me. And part of me is deeply spiritual, and that's what I use to guide me at this point in my life through really hard things, but also sharing and not hiding it or keeping it to myself or trying to do it all by myself. So if you would like to join me, I'd be happy to have you. So I really appreciate everyone taking the time to watch this. Thank you. So hopefully next week I will be here on Monday. That is my intention, and I'm going to pick a topic that everyone shares with me. If I don't get anything, that's okay. I already have a topic picked, but I would love to hear from all of you. So if there is something that you want to see or hear talked about next Monday, or Tuesday probably, because I think Monday is actually a holiday, so it would be Tuesday. But it's still Messy Monday. Then share it with me. You can share it with me privately. I don't care. However you want. Smoke signal, doesn't matter. And if you would like to be on as a guest and talk with me about this, you don't have to physically come here, but you're welcome to. We could always, Zoom in and do it that way. But if you would like to be a guest, then feel free to hit me up. And thank you for joining me today. I really look forward to sharing more with you and walking on this path together. So the topic will be announced this coming Friday, and have a good week. Thank you, everyone. I'll see you later.